All right, class. So again, this video is optional. I'm just using it to read the second reading out loud to you. Again, just watch this if you would rather have the reading read out loud instead of reading it yourself. Okay, so I'll read the title here. So starting at the beginning, opinion. When teaching history, you must include the bad with the good. Okay, so we'll start down here. On ABC's show Blackish, Dre, a dad played by Anthony Anderson, is upset over his children's performance in a school play. Christopher Columbus is the focus of the play. Dre's daughter, dressed as a Native American, says the jingle, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. His son, with a smile, says, I'm Christopher Columbus, and I discovered America. Dre objects to this telling of history. The kids break into an imagined scene to rap about what actually happened. Everything you know about Columbus is a joke, Dre's daughter sings. He didn't discover America. Prepare to get woke. My students in American history felt woke, shocked by the truthful reality of Columbus's history, too. In class, they read about him in James W. Lowen's book. It is called Lies My Teacher Told Me Everything Your American History Textbook Got Wrong. Not only did Columbus never set foot in the United States, they learned, but he also wasn't the first to discover that the world was round. The ancient Greeks beat him to the punch by almost 2,000 years. It's fair to give Columbus credit for opening our part of the world to Western Europe. However, Leif Erikson, the Norse explorer, likely landed in present-day Canada hundreds of years earlier. That's just the start of who, in the Old World, crossed the Atlantic first. Many teachers are reconsidering how to present Columbus and others like him. Take it from Eric H. Shedd, who leads a program to teach teachers at Harvard University. He sees a shift in the way in which we teach history, he said. The shift is to questioning the past and not accepting it as fact, he said. Questioning Columbus. My students felt angry that teachers had not always been honest about Columbus. I've been tricked into honoring and celebrating this vile human being my whole life, said one student. He pointed to proof to back up his claim. During his first voyage, Columbus kidnapped some Native Americans. I could conquer the whole of them with 50 men and govern them as I please, he wrote in his journal. The native people Columbus saw in the Bahamas were mostly friendly, yet on his second voyage in 1493, Columbus allowed his men to abuse native women. Columbus also wanted to punish groups that did not give him enough gold. He supported cutting off people's limbs and war. For his view on teaching about Columbus, I talked to Lowen. He said, you might point out that he is the only guy who gets a named holiday, except for this guy named Martin Luther King Jr. King tried to remove some of the remains of slavery, he said, and Columbus started the slave trade across the Atlantic Ocean. When teaching younger children about Columbus, some details should be left out. Still, we fail students when we note only Columbus's courage. We must also address his wrongdoing. I asked Shedd for his thoughts. I would be concerned with any teacher who doesn't help their kids question the past, he said. Shedd recommends that teachers direct students toward facts to consider the past. The Thanksgiving story versus history. If you're a teacher, you might be questioning how you teach history. You might want to look at Thanksgiving. Reconsider the ways teachers often start their lesson. They say that in 1620, the Mayflower landed in Massachusetts, carrying Europeans seeking religious freedom. Instead, describe how several years before the Pilgrims arrived, a disease had killed many natives near Plymouth. The Europeans were not well prepared for the winter. To survive, they ended up corn buried with the dead. Lowen wrote in his books that many of our beliefs about Thanksgiving are wrong. The Pilgrims did not introduce the Native Americans to the tradition. Native Americans had held harvest celebrations for many years before the Europeans came, he wrote. He also said that no one used the term pilgrims until the 1870s. Many Native Americans mark Thanksgiving as a national day of mourning. I ask my students to consider why.